Yesterday, Hollywood lost one of its greatest legends. Sean Connery. It was announced that Sean Connery had passed away in his sleep. And so I've decided to review one of his movies. Unfortunately, the only movie I have of his is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Now, I'm going to be straight with you. I don't hate this movie like most people do. In fact, the first time that I saw this movie, I loved it. Now, I've grown up. This was 2003. I've grown up. And I know it's not a very good movie. But if you watch this, Connery is clearly giving it his all in this film, despite the fact that it's a bad script and that there are twists in this film that are very easy to figure out if you're not stupid. Although the first time I watched it, I did not figure it out, which, now that I'm older, it happens. But there's a twist, like a couple of twists in here that are easy to figure out if you really think about it. And one non-twist that people seem to keep throwing into this film, and I've heard it a couple times, and I'll talk about it when I get to it, but people keep, it's this, and it's just like, no, where do you get this from? So we'll get to that. But what is the story? Of course, the story is that M, yes, the M from James Bond. I'm not going to point out the irony in that they chose Sean Connery to be in a film where a character from James Bond novel, M, is going to be a part of this. Although, like I said, there's twists. As set forth to recruit a team of extraordinary individuals. Which I don't know why it says extraordinary gentlemen, because there's a woman in there, but... And to be honest, the assembly of characters that they get aren't bad ones. You got Alan Quatermain, who is, literary royalty, so to speak. You have Mina Harker, who's from Dracula. Agent Sawyer, Tom Sawyer. And you have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You have... what's his name? Dorian Gray. Dorian Gray, from the Legend of Dorian Gray, where he has this portrait that if he looks at it, he will die because it contains his age. He's immortal as long as he doesn't look at the photo. There is Captain Nemo, who in every other form of media, like animated, like television media, movies, television, whatever, has been portrayed as a white man. Even in the Disney film, he was a white man. But here he's Indian, I think, which the Invisible Man, who is not Griffin, but Skinner, because they couldn't get the rights to Griffin, so they made someone up. For the longest time, I wondered, why Skinner? Why isn't it Griffin? Griffin was the Invisible Man. Why is it Skinner? Because it's rights issues. And they're assembled to stop an impending war that is being forged by the Phantom. Shortly after they are brought together, now, strange occurrences begin to happen. And I'm watching this, right? And the twist, okay, I'm going to spoil one of the twists here. Dorian Gray is a bad guy. He's one of the villains. And it's obvious. I mean, come on. Those of you who thought he was actually the good guy? I did when I first watched it, but it's painfully obvious. Where's the first ambush happen? Dorian Gray's house. The Phantom shows up with an ambush. Oh, duh, he's in on it. And they act like this some sort of grand twist that he was in on it. But it's very obvious. Also, who the Phantom really is, M. The guy that brought everyone together then disappeared shortly before the Phantom made his presence known to the group. Yep. But there's more. M stands for Moriarty. Professor James Moriarty of the Sherlock Holmes novels. Don't think you needed that in there, but fine. So are we just supposed to believe that the M in all the James Bond media, which was a woman, I think, is Moriarty? And that's just for this, I guess. But, yeah. And I do find it ironic that at the beginning of this, Alan Quartermain says he's retired. And then after this film, Sean Connery retired. So, yeah, irony. We also get a hint at another sort of twist. Is that at the beginning of this film, Alan Quartermain says, Africa won't let me die. And then at the end of the film, when he is stabbed in the back, literally, by M, Moriarty, he dies in Sawyer's arms. And then we see he's going to be brought back. Except for Connery retired, so there was never a sequel. I think if they did do a sequel, they could bring in his son, Jason Connery. Sort of a reincarnation. A younger version of Quartermain. But that's not going to happen. Speaking of sons, let me get this off my chest. Tom Sawyer is not Alan Quartermain's son. I don't know how this has been misconstrued. There's a line. There's a bit of dialogue earlier in the film while Quartermain is talking to Sawyer about his son's death. How about he brought his son on a mission and he died or something like that. And people have led this at the end. The way that Moriarty says this. Pay fucking attention to how he says this. He says, did you teach him as well as ye taught your son? And then he shows the metal thing with the reflection of Sawyer. This has led people to believe that Sawyer is his son. No. Listen to what the fuck Moriarty is saying. Did you teach him being Sawyer, as well as you did your son? He's not saying that Sawyer is his son. He's implying that he is asking Quartermain if he taught Sawyer how to defend himself better than his actual son. But let's just say he's his son. That frustrates me for some reason. I don't know. But it's not his son. They're not related. Anyway, they have a sort of father-son connection type thing, but he's not really his father. Not really the son. Also, Dorian Gray's defeat here is obvious. You know, throughout the film, we've seen that there's attraction between him and Mina. So obviously, she's going to be the one that kills him. And she does. She shows him the picture after he fails to stab her in the heart. Why would he just... He stabs her right here. No heart there. The heart's over here. Over here. Not here. Idiot. There's a pretty badass scene, though, where this weird henchman of Moriarty's that comes out of nowhere. He's like, like Nicolas Cage, and it's like Nicolas Cage trying to be John Travolta, trying to be Nicolas Cage in Face Off. And then he drinks the potion, and then becomes this big hulking thing and fights off. Hyde. By the way, Avengers ripped this movie off. And I don't mean the Avengers the country was in. I mean the Marvel Avengers ripped this movie off. I don't know why no one has said anything or cut on to this. Do you remember in Avengers what Loki's plan was? a distraction with the Hulk, who's a big, hulking creature that smashes stuff, and an explosion that triggers this. What do we get? We get dialogue that distracts our heroes, followed by an explosion, and Jekyll turns into Hyde. Now, he doesn't go full tilt on the people because Jekyll and Hyde have a mutual respect between each other and are working together with this group. But I'm calling ripoff by Marvel. It's eerily similar. It's not shot for shot, but it's eerily similar to what Marvel did in the Avengers. I'm just saying. Overall, I don't think it's the worst film Connery could have went off on, but being as he passed on being in The Matrix and The Lord of the Rings, I think maybe he should have given more shot to The Lord of the Rings or The Matrix. He didn't understand the material with The Matrix, and Lord of the Rings, he just said no. Maybe he could have tried to do one more thing to make it better, but after this, he's just done, I guess. And Jurassic Park, he passed on that too. Welcome to Jurassic Park. But yeah, as it stands, this movie, I think it's decent. I'm going to give it a 6. So I think it's decent. So what are your thoughts on The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? Leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we lost a good one. So for you, Mr. Connery, I give you a salute. May you rest in peace.